Hey guys, how are you all doing? Hope you guys are crushing it right now. The market has been absolutely amazing, and it looks like we're going to get a fair bit of continuation over the weekend. Retail is definitely starting to show up after many weekends have been pretty slow. And, the market has only really been moving in the US time periods. And I think that's pretty obvious because of, the spot ETFs and everything like that. And obviously, the US is really coming on board to crypto right now, and they're definitely having a lot of FOMO, right? And so usually what we've been seeing is once it ticks over to 9:30 a.m., CME opens and pumps, the market really starts to move and take off again. So we've been seeing it being pretty quiet during the weekend periods. But Bitcoin has obviously had a really good run in the last week, and alts were sort of lagging behind. I put out a video a few days ago saying Bitcoin potentially is starting to stall at this level because we had the TD9 get put in. Can Solana and others catch up? So we're just going to do a little bit of a recap of some of those positions that we were looking at before, because especially like Solana now has broken out and running to $80. So we want to sort of just cover that off because it definitely has played catch up and BTC did stall out. So I think we nailed that call. But then the other thing as well is there's so many others still in that consolidation pattern, still in an ascending triangle pattern at the moment. Just want to cover some of those off because I think those are the next ones to go after this. Now, just watching BTC here on my second screen, I'll pull it up. We had a nice little bounce off the top of this value area, range high earlier on. Oh, sorry. I need to share my screen. 1 second. Yeah, so this is my second screen just on here at the moment. So we had a nice little bounce of this range high this morning, but it looks like it wants to come back down deeper and potentially come a little bit further into this range. We still do have this 30-minute order block through here, but it's probably a little bit washed, I think, after we came through here. So potentially come down to retest the developing weekly value area high. We've got the point of control down here at 43,880. And maybe potentially we need to come back a little bit deeper in the range down to this order block. But we'll see how that ends up playing out. Could see something like this, and it ends up putting in like another ascending triangle type pattern or something like that over the next few days. It's super early right now on BTC, so it's hard to tell what it's going to end up doing in this consolidation pattern. But my guess is it will probably test the top of this order block again and maybe even come down to the developing VWAP, the developing weekly VWAP. But I wouldn't be surprised if it even came down and took out some of those wicks down there. But we don't want to concentrate too much on BTC right now. I'm expecting just more consolidation. Focus this video is going to be on altcoins because we have some really nice setups at the moment. We may as well start on sushi since that's on the screen already, right? And really nice breakout of this accumulation range, which was underneath, in my opinion, this was the accumulation range, the real crux of it, right? And we're sort of just back to almost the mid-range of that. So I think a rotation up to $2 is probably in store for sushi pretty soon. But trading below this range through here, really nice breakout once the market finally turned end of October. Really nice breakout. And then the reclaim of this range low here is which when I usually look to be buying into positions, and called that out on Discord and also on Twitter that I was going to be buying down here after, this throw off here and then reclaim and holding this level through here, pretty much 90 cents, wanted to stay in the market. And we've held that really nicely. And now this looks to be a pretty nice ascending triangle with a fake out. That obviously failed and pulled back. Now, if we can hold this level through here and continue to push up, looks like Bitcoin's having a little bit of a throwback at the moment. So I want to see the previous high here hold, and maybe it ends up doing something like this. But I think once you reclaim this buying climax area of that original push, I think that's a really key level for us to flip. And as long as this uptrend through here continues to hold, and we don't do something like this, right, then I will be happy to stay in this position. As soon as we break this uptrend through here, then it's going to be looking a little bit more bearish. But as long as we can hold that uptrend through there and stay above this buying climax level, I think it might be the 1 hour. Yeah, it's the 1 hour. As long as we can stay above this buying climax area, then I think, this has a lot of potential to continue this push to the upside. Okay. Um, Ordinals is an interesting one. Ridiculous rally, and it's sort of just chopping sideways still at the moment. I think uh, this is going to take a little bit longer to play out, but if it can hold this uptrend, eventually would be a nice setup. Getting out of this level here, right? So we can do something like this. We've seen a few coins do similar recently. Near was one actually that did something very similar. Let's go and have a look at Cas, and I'll show you Near afterwards. So Casper looks to be setting up a really nice ascending triangle as well. Okay. If it can break, this is sort of like a bit of a double bottom through here. If it can break the top of that at 0.135, I think it can then push. Right, if we can get through the top of that, right, I think it can then push up to the highs again, and then maybe chop around for a little bit, and then eventually it'll get pushed out by the bulls, right? ADA was one that's just absolutely flying, and here's my original call actually. In the Discord community, I also threw this up on Twitter as well. This one, so you should have caught it there. But yeah, basically this is the point in the market where price was before the breakout, and a few of the guys in Discord did pretty well catching that. So yeah, what an absolute massive pump. But there's a few other coins like that I just showed you, like Sushi, for example, Casper. They're looking like they're building the same ascending triangle pattern. And obviously, when these are breaking out, the market is just so hot. It's just running with them very aggressively at the moment. Sui sort of already broken out. Not really loving this as much, to be honest. But this was a really nice reaccumulation range that swept this area here, this spring that got put in. Dot did one that was really similar, and I put up a post recently in the groups just talking about how it's such a good example of a reaccumulation structure. If I can find it. Here it is here. It's such a good example of a reaccumulation structure, right? So this is sort of like a descending triangle that fakes out to the downside. You have your buying climax here, comes back for the selling climax, automatic rally, second test of the range low, right? Another automatic rally. Come down for the spring. This is where a lot of traders get trapped below the range low, reclaim range low, reclaim test of that range low, right? So when you have the test inside the range low, that is a really positive sign if that can hold, which bulls past the test. And then the key thing to watch for next is you put in the low. So there's a low here, and then you put in this low, and then you force a higher low inside the range. And then when you break to a new high here, you break the higher high. That's a massive change of market structure here from being in a downtrend to now being into an uptrend. And then we flip that support and resistance flip. That is a really nice last point of supply, right? Sideways movement through here is a sign of strength. Break out of the range high, retest that range high, support resistance, flip that, sign of strength, and then send it into the markup. So those are the sort of things you need to be watching out for when you're looking for reaccumulation ranges. So the entries are just after you get the spring. So the spring entry could have been here, could have been on the retest of the range low, could have been on the flip here of the intra smaller range through here into support, right? All along here was all entries and that sign of strength. Then the final entry is the breakout of the range high, flip that into support, and then the sign of strength here. Okay, let's go have a look at a few others. OP basically just broke out. Sort of a similar structure, right? Get a sweep of the range low here, retest. This had sort of a little bit higher, like the range high was almost like it's downtrend, right? And it just pumped straight through and broke out. I think the reason why this structure ended up happening like this is because Ethereum finally broke out, and because Ethereum finally moved, the Ethereum coin started pumping really aggressively. So ARB is a good example. Let's see if I can find ARB. Can't get it up. Where's Arbitrum? Sorry, guys. 1 second. I have to find it in the list. Okay, so ARB had this really nice double bottom, swept into, flipped that into support through there in that sell-off that others use as a spring. And coming up at a really key important level here. I think if Ethereum continues to perform, an Arbitrum can finally break above $1.31. It can push pretty hard to $1.07, $1.80. And then after that, it's into price discovery. So it could get pretty crazy after that, right? But it all depends on Ethereum, which is looking pretty nice right now. Obviously, this is a bull flag. It's just broken out of that. So Ethereum could start to take a little bit of pace at the moment. So those Ethereum coins like OP, Arbitrum, and stuff like that could definitely start pushing again here soon. Right. That's a really nice little bull flag there, right above a critical range high. Sorry, not range high, order block through here. So yeah, Ethereum, really strong breakout. We're starting to fill this gap that I've been waiting for pretty much the entire year. But there's no real resistance on Ethereum until 2,500, which to be honest isn't really that far away anymore. It's only 5%. But I think it could run to potentially 27. And if it sort of catches up to BTC, it could run all the way to 3,500. Now, let's see if it can get up that high, or if, eventually BTC rolls over soon, it sort of stifles Ethereum's run. That remains to be seen, okay? But the good signs for ETH holders is we did have a really nice, we did have a really nice SFP of this range low through here, and really big daily bullish divergence through here. So reclaim of that. And then finally, if it can get over this hump through here, right? If it can finally get over this, then it's going to be a double bottom again, right? So 0.057, if you can reclaim, let's say 0.058. Yeah, 0.058. If you can reclaim that, I think Ethereum could start looking pretty good. But the problem is there's massive fundamentals that are very bullish for Bitcoin right now. And I think every time Bitcoin gets new ETF news dropping or something like that, it's just going to suck more of that capital away from Ethereum ecosystem into BTC. And then obviously the other thing that's happening right now is there's a lot of it being sucked away from the Ethereum ecosystem and going into the Solana ecosystem as well. But Doge is the other one that's breaking out pretty nice with some key levels, and this easily can pump to 0.14 cents, okay? Especially when Ethereum gets moving, because it's sort of like, bonk is like the Doge for Solana, okay? And that's been going absolutely ridiculous. So Solana coming up to some key levels right now. The last video, we sort of looked at this reaccumulation range and discussed that, and Solana has had a really nice breakout. We're about a 30% move. And it's pushing up really close to my original target one, which is about $80. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. It's not looking crazy pumpish at the moment, but I think higher targets definitely could be $97 or $100, right? And then ultimately up here at $145, I think is reasonable if BTC continues to let things run, okay? And that was a bit more of a longer term target. But, Bitcoin is pushing up towards, 48K at the moment. It's at 44 right now, which is, pushing close to 0.618 of the Bitcoin macro, or if you can put a Fibonacci over the bear market, right? And that would equal 164 on Solana, okay? So back here is sort of BTC still sort of around, that 25K mark, to be honest. But, obviously the alts are all lagging. Really key level here for Solana at $82, the previously value area high. That was basically Bitcoin at 31K, all right? So a breakout of that can see Solana aggressively push, say, to $133, okay? So just something to think about, guys. Targets for Sol, they might end up being a bit higher than what we expect. But the main thing to watch for is a big blow off top, a candle with a huge wick out the top of it. Maybe it comes up, hits 0.618 and then closes back below $80. And obviously that will line up with BTC doing something crazy as well. And that's sort of what I'm looking for. So near was similar. We looked at this one in the previous video. Really nice, breakout of this key level. And it was almost like a little inverse head and shoulders as well. But, I liked this level here that had been touched multiple times. And as soon as, we got out of that, price started looking a lot more aggressively bullish. And it's been playing a bit of catch up recently, which is good to see. Nice little bull flag and then breakout, and it's running at the moment. So no idea how high this one is going to go. But yeah, it's looking all right at the moment. Rose finally breaking out of a key level. So this has had a bit of a different setup, but nice sideways pattern in here. Almost a head and shoulders fake out, to be honest. Broken that's flipped the head into support, and it looks like it wants to just put in another sort of bull flag here and mark up. So I think this is going to probably push to $1 soon. Link, similar sort of structure as near, but it's just lagging a little bit. So it's broken out. Nice support and resistance flip through the mid-range here. And it looks like it wants to run to $20 at least here, in my opinion. So Matic is a really good setup at the moment. This could end up playing as like a larger cup and handle, but it's hard to ignore the potential for this huge inverse head and shoulders here. A breakout of 0.9, I think it's 0.95 is probably the level to watch, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit of a pullback sideways at the high here, which is pretty much 0.95. It's almost at that at the moment, and chop sideways for a bit and then run, and then you're just going to be like really nice cup and handle pattern. Right. So let's see how that ends up playing out. But yeah, it's looking very bullish. They could easily get a breakout above 95 cents and run all the way to $1.30. Rune has just been crazy, pumpish, and it looks like it's in a small reaccumulation. Like this looks similar to near before the breakout. And it's just sort of like hanging around the high here from the previous push. So if it can get above that, it's going to be looking a little bit more interesting, but it can easily just stay inside the range here between 640 and 720. So those are probably some of the main setups watching at the moment, to be honest. There is a bit going around. That is looking really good here as well with another ascending triangle with a fake out below the triangle level here. So that is a nice little trap there. It needs to break 0.75, but it might not get out. It might do this, come back one more time, and then push again. The other one I think I wanted to show was INJ, which, similar to DOT, to be honest, very similar with this sweep here, this spring action down here, the range low, then you had the retest, one more retest here as well, and then the break of this downtrend through here. So nasty rejection there. This has already run really aggressively, so maybe it's starting to run out of steam. The sell signal for me would be if it comes below 1842, but if it can hold up here, we're just putting in a sign of strength, and then it's getting ready for the markup for its next rally, okay? But it has run hard, very aggressively already. Aave, it looks like it wants to pop right now, actually. So similar to DOT, how it had that one sweep of the low, it sort of had the double sweep of the low here, so like a double spring. But yeah, it's looking pretty nice here right now. Two key levels, so you have sort of like 3 buying climaxes here, so it's a little bit awkward to chart. But it does look like it's going to have a crack at the high here to $1.07. And if it can get out of that, then, it really opens up for its next leg higher, which I think is probably going to be moving up to the previous year's VWAP, which is about 163. So yeah, Aave could finally get moving. It has been lagging a fair bit because originally it broke out very strong with Solana and Link, but it's just been chopping sideways since and had a much deeper pullback than the others. So interesting to see how this plays out, but I think a crack at the previous range high that's been in this range since when did it come down here? May 2022. So it's been in here for a year and a half, over a year and a half. So if it can crack 116, it might take a little bit of time to get through that, but let's see how it ends up playing out. But yeah, got to keep our eyes on BTC for throwbacks. It looks like it wants to have one right now, to be honest, but it's all about how deep it goes. So when Bitcoin has throwbacks, altcoins usually have throwbacks as well. But the signal is when Bitcoin has its reversal, it starts to push the upside, which is what it's been doing through this channel here. When BTC has its push from the bottom of its range to the top of its range, that's when the altcoins make their move and push really hard. So if we do have a throwback and alts have a little bit of a pullback or they just stall out, it's even better if they stall out and don't dip when Bitcoin dips. those are the altcoins you want to be watching for, if they're setting up or they're close to resistance and, or they're just broken out and Bitcoin pulls back and the altcoin doesn't sell off. That is a really strong sign that as soon as Bitcoin reverses and starts to trend up again inside its little range, that's when the altcoins will all pump really aggressively. So it's just a little trick that you can use for your timing, for entries and stuff like that on alts. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. We'll see you all in the next episode.